He was a preacher of rhythm, a master of the mic, and a showman who could command a crowd like few others. Before James Brown was a godfather of soul, even before hip hop had a name, this man was already doing it all. With a voice that could cut through heartbreak and a stage presence that left audiences breathless, this man helped shape the sound of soul and funk. But somehow, his name doesn't echo through the history the way it should. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Joe Tex. Now, if you guys love my videos and love supporting me, then I suggest you become a member of the channel where I will be releasing exclusive videos just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out on these exclusive perks. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born on August 8, 1935 in Roger, Texas, like many black artists of his generation, he was raised in the church and where gospel music lit the fire that would one day fuel his career. Tex was a baritone saxophonist in his high school band, and he performed in his local Pentecostal church choir. After high school, Joe attended local talent events and quickly made a name for himself. He won a talent competition in Houston, which led to a trip to New York City. Now while in New York, he competed into the Apollo Theater's amateur contest, winning first place 4 times. This led to him being discovered by Henry Glover, who offered him a contract with King Records in 1955. His mother requested that he graduate from high school, so Glover decided to wait 1 year before signing him when he turned 19. His earlier singles didn't take off, but Joe was building something else, a stage show that combined comedy, dance, and raw, emotional storytelling. Tex recorded for King Records between the years of 1955 and 1957, but he had little success. He later claimed that he sold the musical rights to the song Fever to the King Records personnel in order to pay his rent. The song credited authors Otis Blackwell and Joe Cooley contested Tex's statements. Label mate Little Willie John smashed song Fever, prompting Tex to compose the first of his response songs, which was named Pneumonia. In 1958, he joined Ace Records and the struggle continued, but he was beginning to establish a distinct stage presence, opening up for performers such as Jackie Wilson, James Brown, and Little Richard. He was a master at the microphone with the dance movements, and this will shape the remainder of his career. In 1960, he departed Ace and temporarily recorded for Detroit's Anna label. He recorded a song that appeared on the bubbling under Billboard chart success with the song of Etta James, All I Could Do Is Cry. By this point, Tex's practice of rapping over his music was becoming the standard. In 1961, he recorded the song Baby You're Right for Anna. And if you think I wanna kiss you, well, you're so right. Later that year, James Brown recorded a cover version with alternated lyrics and a whole different beat, earning songwriter credit on his song. Not only that, but the song also became a smash in 1962, reaching number 2 on the R&B charts. During this time, Tex initially collaborated with Buddy Kelley. After so many songs failed to chart, Buddy opted to have Atlantic Records distribute his records through DOO in 1964. At this point in his career, he recorded over 30 songs, all of which had failed. It took over a decade of grinding, but in 1965, Joe Tex finally had his breakthrough hit with the song Hold What You Got. The song eventually peaked at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts and became Tex's first number 1 hit on the R&B charts, staying on the charts for 11 weeks, selling more than 1 million copies by 1966.
You had the better hold on.
Tex's blend of spoken words, monologues, and catchy hooks was groundbreaking. In many ways, he was doing a version of rap long before hip-hop even existed. He wasn't just a singer, he was a performer, a comedian, a preacher, a soul brother who could break your heart and lift you up at the same time. Tex placed 6 top 40 charted singles on the R&B charts in 1965 alone, including 2 more number 1 hits with I Want To
We love a woman like I love you, and I love you,
and A Sweet Woman Like You.
A sweet woman like you is hard to find.
He followed that with 2 successive albums with Hold On To What You Got and The New Boss. During this time, he placed more R&B hits than any other artist, including his rival James Brown. In 1966, 5 more singles entered the top 40 on the R&B charts, including The Love You Save,
Because the love you saved today.
and The Ladder Song, which was an answer song to Wilson Pickett's Soulville, USA. In 1967, his hits included Show Me, which became an often covered tune for the British rock artists, and later some country and pop artists. In his second million seller, Skinny Legs and All,
Just cause her got them little old skinny legs, now you know that ain't no way to do.
the latter song was released on Tex's live album. The song stayed on the charts for 15 weeks and was rewarded a gold disc by the RIAA in January of 1968. After leaving Atlantic Records for Mercury, Tex had more R&B hits, including Buying a Book in 1970,
Mind your business. Let me and this young girl have us a little bit of fun. That's when I looked at.
Give the Baby Anything the Baby Wants in 1971. The intro saxophone riffs to his 1969 song, You're Right, later influenced the funkadelic song Standing on the Verge of Getting It On. Tex recorded his next big hit, I Gotcha, in December of 1971. The song was released in January of 1972 and stayed on the charts for 20 weeks, peaking at number 2 on the Hot 100 charts for 2 weeks, also selling more than 2 million copies, becoming his biggest selling hit to date. This song was also awarded a gold disc on March 22nd, 1972. The parent album reached number 17 on the pop charts. The song would go on to be included in director Quentin Tarantino's 1992 film Reservoir Dogs. Following this and another album, Tex announced his retirement from show business in September of 1972 to pursue life as a minister for Islam. Following the passing of Elijah Muhammad in 1975, Tex resumed his music career, delivering the top 40 R&B single Under Your Powerful Love.
Looking like a movie star. Under your powerful love.
Followed by Ain't Gonna Bump No More, which was released in 1977 and peaked at number 12 on the Hot 100 charts and number 2 in the UK.
Once said if you wanna dance, find you a big fat man. Y'all go and get on down.
In 1981, he made his final public appearance as a member of a redesigned 1980s Soul Clan. Following that, Tex retired from the public life, residing in his ranch in Texas where he watched his favorite football team. With all of Joe's brilliance, one guy stood in his way, James Brown, the godfather of soul, and a rivalry, it was legendary. Tensions began very early, and yet it was small, but each time they met, it increased little by little. The dispute between Tex and fellow label mate James Brown suddenly began in the mid-50s when both musicians were signed to King Records. Brown reportedly challenged Tex to a battle during a dance at a local juke joint. In 1960, Tex departed King and recorded a few singles for Detroit's Anna label, including the ballad Baby You're Right, which a year later Brown covered the song with new lyrics and a new beat, basically taking Joe's song and making it to his own. In a few interviews he gave in the 60s, Tex dismissed the notion of Brown being called Soul Brother No. 1, and he insists that Little Willie John was the original Soul Brother No. 1. Tex also claimed that Brown prohibits some DJs from playing his songs, such as Skinny Legs and All, preventing him from going to number 1, which at that time James Brown's song was number 1. Tex went farther and had the words "The New Soul Brother No. 1" on his touring van in 1968, but he later removed the name and had it painted over. Tex pushed Brown to determine who was the real Soul Brother. Brown reportedly refused the challenge, telling the Afro-American, "I will not fight a black man. You need too much help." While Tex initially moved on for the feud, it wasn't the end. James Brown reportedly joked and said who in his Bobby Byrd and Hank Ballard duet, Funky Side of Town, that was on his Get on the Good Foot album, when Ballard mentioned Tex's name as one of the stars of soul music. Joe Tex and James Brown grew up on the same southern circuits, and they knew each other all too well. Joe frequently accused James of copying his elements of his act, including the mic stand skills and the cape performance, even his voice stylings. Many artists, including Little Richard, believed that James Brown stole from Tex. Joe once said, "I did it before James Brown. I got it from the church. James got it from me." Brown, of course, denied it, but the tension just grew more. By the early 60s, Brown had signed a vocalist that was named B. Ford, who was previously in a relationship with Joe Tex. In 1960, Brown and Ford recorded the song You Got the Power. Shortly later, Tex received a handwritten letter from Brown informing him that he had ended his relationship with Ford and he could have her back. Tex decided to respond in a song, and he boldly named James Brown by name, and arguably this is the first diss song. And in 1962, he released the song You Keep Her.
She didn't make up her own mind to come on home to me.
In 1963, the feud escalated when Tex and Brown performed at a concert in Macon, Georgia. Tex, who opened up the show, was acting like James Brown by appearing in a tore-up cape, rolling around on the floor screaming, "Please, somebody help get me out this cape." Brown, who was already angry over the song You Keep Her, allegedly left the club and returned with guns. Tex left the club before the shooting had happened. The incident led to multiple people being shot and stabbed. Since James Brown was on parole at that time, he relied on his agent and a few $1,000s to make the situation disappear. According to fellow performer Johnny Jenkins, 7 people got shot. And after the shooting ended, a man appeared and gave each one of the injured persons $100 apiece to not carry on any further and to not talk to the press. And of course, James Brown was never charged for this incident. In 1966, Joe Tex converted to the Nation of Islam and changed his name to Yusuf Haziz and began touring as a spiritual preacher. According to his longtime producer, Tex struggled with addiction during his last 4 years of life, despite having spent the majority of his life free of drugs and alcohol. Tex seemed thin and sick in his final appearances as a member of the Soul Clan, and his manager alleged that Tex had lost his will to live. In early August of 1982, Tex was found at the bottom of his swimming pool at his home. After he was revived in the hospital, he was sent home. And just a few days later, on August 13th, 1982, just 5 days after his 47th birthday, he sadly passed away following a heart attack. He was survived by his 2 daughters and 4 sons. Some artists leave behind platinum albums, while others leave behind a style, a tone, or a spark. Joe Tex, he left behind all 3, plus some more. He was more than a vocalist. He was a template. His combination of deep melodies, honest passion, and rhythmic spoken word would reverberate long after the limelight has passed. Joe Tex started rapping long before the term hip-hop even existed, breaking verses into half-sung songs and half-spoken emissions. He may have been heard in the cadence of early rap songs, the narrative of musicians like Slick Rick, and the rhythm-driven funk of James Brown, Prince, and Outkast. His music has been sampled by EPMD, Nas, and A Tribe Called Quest, to mention a few. They all demonstrate that his rhythms are timeless. His voice continued to speak to new generations. But what about Joe? He didn't require a gimmick. His songs highlighted common experiences of love, heartache, jealousy, and pride. He made you laugh, think, and most importantly, dance. He may not have gotten any of the Grammy nominations, and he's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But what about influence? That's a distinct type of prize, and Joe Tex, he had access of that. Now before we go, I have a few questions for you all. What is your favorite song by Joe Tex? Also, do you believe James Brown stole his move from Joe Tex?